Well, good afternoon. Welcome to the Dream Labs, and I am Dr. Contrast, and we are live. So hopefully everything's okay there, gang. And I just want, before I begin here today, I'll make sure that we have an announcement to make. And I really felt bad about yesterday's situation, not being able to go live. We had some real complications in the building here with telephone systems and getting things organized. So I had to wait through the course of the day to get that taken care of. But nonetheless, here we are. And so far, so good. I mean, it's just been interesting to see how everything's been taking place here. And for what that's worth, for the last few weeks, we've been developing this whole empathic aircraft study. And I think today would be a good day to kind of bring it all together. And we're going to show you today just some final variations on theme here that we started with. And I just want to begin with just a little quick review. Several weeks ago, we started out with this very simple empathic theme, and the idea back then was to get back into a blended wing system with a little bit of an overlap in the wings in the drop area, and very sleek and very simple, stealthy looking machine. Well, as it began to transform from week after week after week, what bothered me a little bit was this idea of having this drop wing, this area drop was really severe. And I thought, well, it kind of takes it away from being a blended wing system, because all that should happen up the top of the fuselage and come up and do some pretty interesting things with it. So I went back and modified that just a bit, and so far so good. I mean, I think we've seen some good progress, and I really want to thank the individuals who tuned in over the course of the last few weeks, like Dakota and Terrace, for just being some really helpful in putting some pieces together, input on certain design themes and how to make changes, what some of the pluses and minuses were. So all that was extremely helpful. So today I just want to go back and real quick review. So we started with this as a thumbnail study, and interesting how that started there. Then we went to this family of forms here, these sketches from this empathic sketch. This is the one we kind of focused in on right here. Made some revisions here to kind of show us where the wing surface was a little bit too much to drop. We've tried to lift that up a little bit and make a difference. So we went back to some just ballpoint pen sketches, and still it was still pretty obvious back in through here that wing surface was really way too dramatic. So I think being able to drop that drape and then beginning to lift up the surfaces so you get a little bit closer to fuselage to give it more of a blended wing look and attack aircraft interception and maybe an escort vehicle of some sort, much healthier. So that's where we left. And I thought the thing that was interesting too in this page of development sketches, let's go back a few weeks. I'm just kind of putting a real good review here. The elevation revision from this empathic went to that study right there. Then we moved up and did some plan view studies. Again, interesting shape here, but again, it didn't have that drop. Was pretty obvious. This was related to that in one respect, and it just didn't have that same content. So this was a little bit more severe, a little bit less intimidating. Interesting, that could come off the top of that surface easily. But this one intrigued me from the point of view of being very simple, very straightforward, and almost dart-like in plan views. And it had that reverse dihedral wing system that we're looking for in this whole concept thing from the original empathic study. So there we are. There are just two little quick reviews. And let me get these out of the way, and we'll push these back in time here. And from that set of empathic studies, and this series of little studies in terms of detailing some things in the actual format, we put that aside here and just really look at it now and say, okay, here we are. There is. Now, let's switch gears and went to some little overhead studies about, okay, let's look at what this plan view is doing here. Does this begin to spell out that blended wing, very dramatic looking empathic form? I think the shapes are beautiful, but something still disturbed me about this whole area here, where it wasn't getting up getting that wing surface up. Yeah, the shapes are there, but I think we can massage these a little bit and move the wing structure up a bit. It was much more helpful. So this is the color study we did. I'm going to put this side by side. And this was the actual study we did for a little bit of a wing examination. And again, notice from this one, let's go back to this guy a bit. Notice how much drop there's. If I were to cut a section through this form here, what this is doing is coming across here, up into that valley, down into the body form, and then into the wing surface here. So that's doing that. And really, that's what that's doing. So the problem was right in through here. A lot of drop in terms of, oh boy, there's a whole lot of surface there to work with. We need to get that wing form up into that area here to develop that blended wing look. So that was part of the complicated. So this study, the line study, I just took another copy of it and began to just change the massage a little bit. Notice we started to get that up a little bit higher. The original was way down here. we brought that form up, brought that canard forward, and made a big difference in the overall gesture of the shape of the sketch itself. So that helped. So that was facelift number 1. And we had another one where we had facelift number 2. It was much more blocky-like. I tried to get those wings in tight, and it just didn't feel right. So from that sketch there, again, getting that, actually still that section dropped into that wing, still way too low in terms of getting this blended wing and this very aerodynamic, stealth-looking attack fighter that we're after and pursuing here. So from that study, we went to this one, and all of a sudden, big difference. Look at the change of pace. We really changed it here. Now, this helped, because notice we got the wing surface up high a little bit higher, dropped it a little bit deeper, changed the actual engine structure back here. Not too bad, but we're getting them a little bit better. So I think that has some healthy paces to it. Again, much stronger than this one. I mean, that was just extremely, I think one of the comments made last couple of weeks ago, very rocket-like. It didn't look like an aircraft. It was too heavy. So we went back to the original concept, the original plan, and went back to something like this, where we've got that same canard system, the reverse wing, dihedral, tightened up a little bit into here, much more wing surface, and raised this whole thing up and added some canards down below. So making progress. Now the third one, let's go to number 3. Here we are here. This is a way, almost like a full delta, where the weights were such that, yeah, interesting shape, but we lost that canard system that pulls those wings forward. So I didn't really care for the fact that, a bit too heavy. I just didn't think that was there. So from that study, I went back to this guy and made a revision on this one. Now look at the difference. It helped a little bit to get that. Again, the red was a revision from that overall delta that we dealt with in the original sketch. So I thought this was really interesting, again that shape to come in, again kicking back out again. And I just did the 1/2 section to show us what that's doing. But the key thing about this sketch was, now look at the section. We're getting that come up, dropping in, and staying very high up on top of the body form, which gives us that whole blended wing look. So that was very strong and healthy. So from those 3 studies, today I'm going to go back in, and I just kind of refined some studies here. And let me get rid of this guy, put this over here, and we get rid of this. This is where we're going to end up here. This is where we ended up with this whole concept of putting this whole program together. And I'm going to do just a really nice, simple series of pencil sketches here to kind of illustrate what we're after. So let's kind of get this started. This is sketch number 1. We'll save this one for a moment here. That's going to be the second one in just a second. But again, notice, here's the healthy part. Notice what happened here. Look at the section form. Up, much tighter, dropping into the wing, much fluid, much more contoured, much smoother. So let's put a little bit of study here and get this guy into some form. Just kind of softening some of the shapes first. Get an idea where we are. Come back across this with light source. Across that platform on the wings. Nice and soft first, just kind of tone it in. Then we'll start adding some line weights here. The shadow underneath. Let's bring this right through to the power source. Again. Bit of highlight in through here. A little bit of shadow on this side, just a bit. Just kind of put that together. And again, down off this fin, back into that body form, and right back into highlight. Just soften the shape right off, just to get it started. Now let's add in some line weight in here. Oh, let's get that guy squared away here. We're good. All right, here we go. Just a little bit at a time. Let's get this cockpit to work. I'm going to turn that just for a moment. So we're starting to render in some of the really interesting values and forms, sort of just to get the shape to kind of read a little bit here for us. Then we'll come back and add a little bit of this and just add some detail here. This would imply a little bit of a V2L, vertical takeoff and landing process, which I think would be kind of neat. Let's take that shape here. Let's put this back in place. Put a little bit of shadow in through here. Carry that on through. Put a little sharpener in the stick here. Let's get this wing lobe over here to work a little bit. And it's got a little sharpened stick here. Let's bring this back into speed here. Okay, what do you think, gang? So far, working pretty good. Just getting the actual black and white surface to work here. Let's put a little bit of some cut lines on this guy now. Let's add a little bit of this. Back to a little bit of sharper stick here. Let's get this back on the screen here. Hey, Pinter, how you doing? Looking pretty cool. Just jumping in for a few minutes. Say hello. Hi there, David. How you doing? David 718 Pinter. Thanks for joining forces here, David. I think that's David. All right, yeah, great. How are you? Been a long time no speak. Everything good? Outstanding, David. Thanks for coming on board here. Just going to get this guy lined in here. A little bit of detail across the front of this thing. Got a little more definition and detail in the engine nacelle. Bring that along here. Let's bring that up to speed here for a moment. There we go. So how have you been, David? Doing pretty good. Long time no speak. I know you've been very busy. That's good. I'm just going to get this guy to tone a little bit further here. Get this shadow to come back across this engine nacelle down beneath here. Tone that in. A little deeper down and through here in the shadow. Get this back in the screen. There we go. Hey, well, good. Check on your replays and remind me how to. Well, that's all right, Dave. Good to have you on board. It's really neat to have you. That's neat stuff. So more body forming through here. Let that kind of tuck into that shape. A more definition of this cockpit area here. I take that shape right through. That's kind of fun. That little shadow up the side of that little plate. And then this coming back in. A little more surface work right in through here. Got to get that thing to read through just a bit better for us. There we are. Let's take this shape right here and just drop this back just a touch more. Up on top just a bit. And back underneath. Let's get this guy to work right in through here. All right, let's get this back into place here. And again, let me turn this in just for a moment here. I kind of get this. There we go, that's better. Okay, that's pretty much surface work right there. What do you think, gang? Working all right? Hey, David, design work is all computer CD these days, but bird sketch. That's good. Hey, New York City? Well, good for you, David. I didn't know you moved. That's fantastic. Good for you, sir. Nice stuff. So there we are, just a basic pencil study. Now, here's the fun part. We're going to take a look at this, and we're going to add a little bit of this wash to it. I'm going to take this guy and just use the basic pencil work here and add a little bit more surface to it. Watch what happens here. Kind of tunes it in a little bit more. Kind of take some of the curse off the paper and put a little bit more tune in this thing. So all of a sudden it just kind of blends it all together very nicely. It gives you a little bit of a halo look like a more of a darker system here. So hopefully that's working pretty good here. You think, guys, you working? Then another thing we'll do here is this. Take this guy, and we'll put it over here. Add a little bit of backdrop to it, a little bit of sky, and there's some tone work to it. And before I do that, I want to make sure get a little more definition in this thing. And there it is. Back in through here. Let's do this too. Let's get this guy a little bit more of a break, a little more definition. And again, back in through here. And maybe this has cooling vanes and so forth to take care of the engine system and the nacelle. Let's put this in here. Let's do this. Make that a little bit of a drop and separate that shape. A little bit more line weight, but it all comes down to, the line weight studies, getting the values to work correctly and so forth. Interesting things to deal with here. So there we are. Now, here's the fun part. We're going to take some of this and come back in and add some of this. And if it's a little bit of a nitrogen problem here, do the same thing. Come back in through here, get that all to blend. It's just enough to take it off the page. Come back in through here with this. So we've got that a little boulder in through here. And take this some out of the way here. Blend that out. And begin to take this and just erase just a little bit of this out. Come back through here and scheme it again. So a little bit of a power source coming back out of that thing. There we are there. Now we'll take this thing and begin to move into a little bit more sky here. Let's put some melody behind this thing now. A little bit of pastel, wash through it. We'll erase some of that out of there when we need it. Put a little more boldness in this guy. We're over here. Some of that. A bit of this added to it. And we'll blend it in. Put some of that color into the actual vehicle itself. Come back and get rid of some of this. And just a little more atmosphere to it. And there she is. And just about a couple more out here, just kind of give it some flavor. So there we are. Now let's go back in and really address mandatory that we sell thruster sounds. Yeah, we do. Let's go back in and get this all squared away, David. Put a little bit of a backdrop in this thing. Now let's get this highlight back in through here. That goes there. That can come across here a little bit more highlight. A little more highlight up on top here. Take that through. Let me get a brush here. We'll just kind of clean some things up a bit. Then we'll come back in and continue to clean this thing up just a bit. There we are there. Put that off to one side. Then we're going to come back in and add a little bit more atmosphere to this thing. So here we are here. Back in through here. Just got to read. And there we are. There's the first study here that we did for that one series here. There we go. What do you think, gang? Reading all right? There she is. That's that first machine we're doing, just getting that whole idea. I think the thing that I was really concentrating on here in this final variation here was to be sure that we got that shape up, those wings up on top of that body form to give it much more of a feel for being a blended wing program and the attack vehicle itself. So big difference here. I want to make sure I get this, a couple more details here. Just clean this up just a little bit. And again, huge big changes. Makes all the difference in the world. Just subtle little changes here. Let's get this guy to read a little bit more fluidly here. And then that shape into it. There it is. Bring that around, kick that in, and take it back into the form. A little boulder through here. And again, up on top. So there was phase one. I mean, I think that makes a good strong case, I think, for this whole blended wind program as an attack vehicle we're looking at here. And one last thing here, pardon me, just a moment. Let's get rid of that highlight, run that through. Just a little bit more, and again, a little more highlighting through here. And just keeping it nice and simple, a nice simple pencil wash makes a huge statement in terms of getting things to read really well and keeping it very simple overall. So I think that's really kind of the whole thrust here. At the end of the conversation, for example, the piece we did, the empathic study we did initially with it, there's quite a transition here. Let me just show you very quickly. The transition has, I think, been really interesting. This is where we started, for example, and coming right down the line. That's where we started. Let's move this up just so we can get it to work. And look at the difference in the actual character of the shape. Some of the forms we've kept up on top still work pretty well, but we got much more streamlined, much more lift in the wing surface itself. It made a huge difference in terms of getting this thing ready to go. So an interesting thing here. So what do you think, David? You still with us? I'm really happy for you out in New York City. That's good stuff, man. Oh, there we go. I'll put this aside here for a moment and get this organized over here. So that was it. That's phase one. Let's do this. Then we'll come back in. So that's one. Again, a long study here, but again, I think really interesting to kind of go through the genealogy of where we were in the very beginning of the process and where we ended up. I think is much more satisfactory in terms of having a really good feel for what this blended wing in an attack escort vehicle is going to look like. I mean, it really felt a lot better. So I think we made some progress. Thanks to the input from the audience members coming through the process and doing some neat stuff here. So there she is right there. That's a bit. That's one attack system here. Let's put this aside for a moment, and we'll go back in. I've done another variation too, just out of interest. And again, a little thumbnail study here about getting into some wing structure and what we did in terms of getting that wing to come uphill and get more into the body form to blend this whole idea of having a blended wing attack escort vehicle. So a big difference there, I think. So let's put that aside. Now let's go back into the same thing here, a little pencil study based on what we need to achieve and getting this whole thing to read. And just really quick little, again, I'll try to keep this thing on a page as best I can here. There we are. Pretty delicate first, and we're just going to come back in and put some power to it. A bit of shadow break along this far side of the wing. Line weight, a little more line weight in through here. Turn this around just a little bit here. The sharpness, let's bring some of the surface work together again. Had to jump off, but I'll catch you. Hey, you as well, David. Thanks so much for joining me today. All the very best to you, David. Thank you. Let's get that up and yeah, there we are. Turn this just for a moment. Get this one piece put in place. Let's get that line up here. There we are, surface-wise. Oh, there we go. We got it right there. Turn that just for a moment. And sharpen this guy a little bit. Get the cockpit in place. And add a little more detail here. We're almost ready to put a little bit of color to this thing. Keep it nice and smooth. Pass some of this through just a bit more. Pass this through just a bit more. More shape to it. It's just got to drop a little bit. I think it's got much more. I think it's got much more of that blended wing look that we're really after. I think that really helped an awful lot to get that thing to just kind of jump a little bit better and give us some real impact here. So let's kind of put a little more definition up front here so we don't lose it. And there she is there, up on top. Same here with this. Back into this. Now, a little bit more definition along and through here. Get this back up on the screen here. Hey, Antares, how you doing, man? How you doing? I'll review in a few minutes here, Antares. It's good to have you on board. How are you? Good to have you on board. I ran a little bit early today. Hope I didn't miss you here. And again, so sorry for yesterday, having to miss that stream. Had to get some real complications in the actual office here squared away, but we got it done. So everything okay with you, I hope? Good. Thank you for joining me. Not a problem, Antares. Hope you're doing well. Just going to get this guy tuned in here. While I'm working away here, Antares, what this really is a culmination of all the work we've done in the last few sessions on this whole idea of having a empathic sketch rendering of aircraft design. So that's what we've been working on here to get this thing all square. I really want to take a moment here to thank you and Dakota both for the input you provided over the last few weeks about getting this thing all organized and so well taken care of, because we made some really incredible changes to the shapes here, and I'll go through that in just a few moments and wrapping it up here for you. Just really interesting thing to work with here. Just more tone in this guy. Just put more boldness into it. Add a little more of this surface in through here, and all of a sudden it's taking on some, it has taken on some very interesting shapes here, and I think thanks to you, I'll show you the review, and I'll walk through the review before we end of the day here to make sure you're up to speed here, but this is where we are as far as that goes. Now, I think we've got some pretty good interesting surface work here to deal with. Now, let's go back in, and just for what it's worth, we're going to blend this guy a little bit more. Kind of take some of the curse off of that, just to get the Weebro pad, just get in there and really scrub in some really interesting stuff, which allows us now to make it much more aircrafty like, much more lethal looking. What do you think? So far, so good? Just while you're doing that, Antares, so we're going to keep this stick nice and sharp and get this guy to kind of read for us here a little bit more. Nice and simple. More definition through here. So what do you think? Making sense? Oh, you can use the Weebro pad without, no, not a bit. No, it's just great stuff. I mean, let me go back through that again. You can use that Weebro pad to get the line work down and just really scrub in some of the surface and get that pencil to move for you. And the nice thing about that too, Antares, is this: you can come back in, and what you've lost, you can pick back up some detail in through here. Just a nice series of, look how you saved that. All of a sudden, it just brings it right back to life again. Again, along here the edge. Need that highlight to work a little bit for you. Over and through here. Some of the surface right in through, put a little bit of highlight right in through here. Notice how you bring it all back to paper. Really neat stuff how it works. Helping? Even up and through here. 1, 2, 3, into the highlight right in there. How you can bring that right back out of here and gives you almost an airbrush. Oh, that's really interesting thing. Helping? What do you think? Super. I mean, it's good. I really am glad you had a chance to make it here today. Really glad to have you on board. Now, here's some fun stuff. Let's put some power to it here. And let's kind of turn this back over again. So I put a little bit more color in this thing. Put a little bit of an atmosphere to it. And give us some real gutty, hopefully a nice gutty look and finished rendering here for this whole study we've been working on here. And again, get some of this stuff to work here. Just going to clean this up just a bit. Get that to work just a touch. Then come back in through here and just scrub it. And so there you are. As I begin to start there, it's a little warmer inside this engine nacelle here. A little bolder, maybe with a couple of runners in through here. So there you are. There. That starts that. That's actually the power side of it all. Helping? I like the contrast of the sleek, aggressive bodywork and that chunky, powerful-looking engine. Yeah, just really busy looking, man. I think you're right. No question. And Terrace. Now, here's the fun part. I'll go back in and put a little bit of atmosphere in this thing now, and we'll see what we come up with. Let's do this. Yeah, let's put a little bit of tone down, a little bit of pastel. And we'll come back in and we'll pick this up and reduce it just a little bit. A little bit of tone. Let's get this highlight to put it right back in the shape itself. A little bit of color to it. There she is there. Let's hang on for a second here. Let's do this. Let's see what we've got here. We kind of put some of this out. Let's see what we come up with here. Okay, there's one little section there. We get rid of it. We have to trail it. Back in through here. Get back to this just a bit. Get a little bit of cloud structure in this guy. See what that's doing. That's there. Let's add something just a little bit low down here. Just a little lonely. Let's add just a touch right back in through here. And we come back and add and get rid of some of this stuff. We'll add that. A little clumsy in through here. It's going to add that to it. Break that up just a bit. Now let's come back in through here and get rid of some of this. Get that munition system to work here for us. A little bit more cloud pattern. Yeah, let's kind of simplify just a bit here. Yeah, a little bit more of a wash. Let's get something a little bit down inside through here. Take that back. A little odd in through here. Let's see if we can get this kind of blend a little bit better. Get some of those outlines out of the way here. And let's kind of take this off the page. And what do you think there, kiddo? Oh, let's do this. A little clumsy in through here too. Let's get rid of that whole setup here. A little clumsy. And again through here. And maybe what we lost, let's kind of bring this back into play here. There you go. What do you think? And Terrace, you still with me? What do you think? Does that work? Nope, let me get this back on center line there. Oh, there she is. I'll just hang on for a comment here. I hope you're doing well. Good? I mean, that's some interesting things here. So there she be. Again, we're trying to wrap up today. this whole idea we had a couple of sessions ago, this is actually phase 4, of doing this very high-powered, high-efficiency looking, very strong-looking interdiction vehicle out of an empathy study, which is really highlight, a little bit more highlighted through here. I actually just kind of detailed a bit more, and there she is. So let me hang up, and that looks awesome, pretty yeah, it's very intimidating. So I think you've got some, thanks to your input and Dakota's, it's just been great. So really appreciate the input there. So if you're satisfied with that, looking pretty good. Do you call that a wrap? I would. I don't want to get too busy with it, but there she is. Let me just do this, and we'll go back through a real quick review for you, and Terrace, for joining in here. And there she is. So that was the last study we did. Let me go back and let me walk through some analogies here for a moment and make this real quick. This is where we started. Let me put those off to one side here, and we'll bring them back in a moment. This is where we started at, Terrace. So I'll just want a real quick review. We started here with this empathy study some four weeks ago. That was the one theme we started with. But we talked about several times. My view, that's a wrap. Great. Thank you very much, Terrace. I agree. Thank you so much. Your design input was helpful here. Believe me, yours and Dakota both, picking and choosing which was good and which was bad. Basic theme started 4 weeks ago, empathic strike. A little bit heavy in through here, so we made some decisions to make some changes. So from that, we went to the first study. We go back to this sketch, where we actually did a little bit of a ballpoint pen sketch. Elevation, still heavy. 1, 2, and 3. This plan view here and a little combination of those two started to help kind of redirect the entire process we were working with here. So that was the second one. Then we did some studies here. I did 3 variations on that basic theme. Notice we had a lot of weight back and through it. Still, this is a big problem area because that shape was just, the drop area was way too severe. So we had to make some adjustments from that form, and we did this thanks to your input, Terrace. We lifted up that whole body form, straightened out this shape, and actually broke it late. So it kept the wing surface up, which really helped get that whole idea of this blended wing program we were looking for. That was sketch 1, facelift. Sketch 2, very rocket-like, really heavy and massive. Didn't care for that at all, but the revision was interesting. We went back and did that same one, but then notice we changed it dihedral again. That area right there was a huge difference. And notice we lifted the wing surface up, so it's got much more of that blended wing look to it. So it was a really big help. Again, thanks to your input and Dakota's. Really interesting. So that was it. And now there's phase 3. Really a departure from the whole idea. Again, more delta, and it literally looked too massive. But again, your input was terrific. We took that same shape, went from there to there, and then just closed that wing off, opened it up a little bit more, and that was in a half section with that large engine system. So those were the 3 views that we worked on last week to kind of get to us where we are today. And while I'm at it here, let me go back to this just for a moment, the first sketch we did. Is that it? Nope, that's not it. Let me go back and get that first sketch. I want to show you what I did. A whole bunch of these sketches over the last week or so. To look at it. Yeah. Went back to this sketch here. And over that, did some real quick studies about wing surfaces, how to kind of generate the shapes. Engine in place, engine in place, higher wing, and do I break it? Do I keep it consistent? Those are all things I went through in terms of it. I tell you, you made a great contribution, Andreas, believe me. Looking at some of the shapes we're doing, getting the wing surfaces to work, putting more meat into it, getting a lot more aggressive with it. Your input and your voice was terrific. Yours and Dakota both. So thank you. So that was that. I'll put this out of the way here. And that goes back with that game. And that was that third one we did. Then we switched gears from those studies. Let me just kind of get organized here. Again, thank you for your patience, and Terrace. It's just a review about where we started. So we kind of bring up to speed about where we are. That's all part of the history. Now, this is sketch number 1 from those reviews we did. This is sketch number 1. There's the first study we did. Based on the input you guys had. Notice the wing came up, but a little bit more of a break to it, and it still looked a little bit on the heavy side, but at least it got more of that blended wing look to it. So there it is. I'm taking shape with this thing. So that was sketch number 1. Now, to me, that's a wrap. What do you think? I will just wait for a commentary here because your input is extremely valuable, always respected. So I think I don't want to go any further with this. Just want to keep it nice and simple, good and clean. So while we're going through that thing, I just, okay, let's finish there. There were two studies, two final studies from that pass we did from last week to kind of review and really get into just, there it is. That was number one. And the second one was one we just finished, and Terrace, which is, that's the second theme right there. So those two variations, I can't put them on the screen side by side, maybe a little bit, but anyhow, those two were to me the culmination of this whole empathic study to get things done. So let's kind of put that back in square here. I thought just a great journey, and a lot of consideration on my end to think about what we were looking for as far as objectives were concerned to get the sketches to work with us. So I think both studies, I think, really did an excellent job of getting all that stuff culminated and to give us that presence of the aircraft we were looking for. And again, thanks to you, Dakota, everybody's voice and input was terrific. So that's where we were, and I'm going to close off right there. I'm not finished yet, but we're going to go back and view some things here. And what I'd like to do, I'm going to make a couple of commentaries here. Let me put these back up while we're looking at these just for a moment. This is where we are. I think the next week, I'm going to go back next Wednesday. I'm going to go back to some basic fundamental thinking here, just some thumbnail sketches and get some gesture work done for next week's stream. We'll go from there. And also, in Terrace, what I'm going to do between now and next week, I'm going to start putting an agenda together in a format for doing architecture from the point of view of empathic sketching. So how does that work? I'm going to use some folded paper. I'll use some of the content crane, and I don't know if that'll be next week or a couple of weeks out, but stay tuned because we're going to do an architectural piece for you. And if Dakota's listening later on today, I'm going to do the same thing for her in terms of getting into a product design work. So you see how product design with empathy will work into a translation, and how architecture in empathic sketches will work into a translation. So all that's coming. I've not forgotten that at all, and I've got a couple of things, just quick announcements here. That piece went off to Ferrari that we did last week, that very large illustration, that Formula One machine, really well received. I was delighted, so we're waiting for some feedback from them on what we're looking at in terms of next generation. Also, I had a good friend of mine who is a very big Corvette enthusiast. He wants me to do a commission piece for him. Looking forward to putting that put together. And a good friend of mine, also a couple of commissions coming in, and we're still trying to work out those formats. We're getting those combination things with some joint venture combinations with some of my former design staff students and also individuals in the industry. Be a great help. So that's where we are, Ghost, and I thank you so much. Again, there's the second sketch we did. There's the first one we did, just in review again. There's sketch number one from the overall 4 weeks of review, just fine-tuning the shape, and getting to a final arrival. I think very strong looking. And here's sketch number two. So all that, again, so attributable to all the input coming back from you guys. Well, thanks very much, and Terrace. That Ferrari piece was a lot of fun. So if I get the rights to publish that thing and keep the rights, I will send you a print. How's that? Deal? I'll send you a print of that copy so you have it. Again, thank you so much for all your help. Looking forward to seeing you next week. A quick announcement too. I might have a bit of a misnomer next Wednesday. I'm the director of the president of an academic environment STEM system for several schools in about a 4 or 5 state district. I've got to put together a career day next Wednesday, possibly. Waiting to see what the date is. If that comes to pass, I'll make sure we make the announcement. And if we miss Wednesday, we'll pick it up on Thursday. So be sure to tune in. And if Dakota, you're listening later on, thank you so much. Just amazing. Yeah, you will get that. I'll get that too. Even if I can email it to you, it'll be a lot easier. So if I get permission, I'll email that Ferrari piece to you. I've got it on my iPad system. I've got it on the computer here. So we're ready to go. We're just waiting for the approval one way or the other. I don't want to violate the ethics here, making sure we don't get caught up in something that could be really illegal. So anyway, all the best, gang. Thanks so much for those who are tuning in. It's been a great day today, wrapping up phase 4, getting this aircraft piece done. Next week, a little bit more thumbnail sketches, a little more magical stuff, a little looser. And then we'll move into empathy for product and architecture and other things to come along, and commission work. All the very best to you. Thank you. Make sure you check out my website, drcontrast.com. Any notes you want to send along or sketches you might have me to look at, I'd be happy to do that. That's jim@drcontrast.com. Happy to help. And above all else, before I sign off today, very, very sincerely mean this. All the very best. Never forget to dare to remember, to dare to be great, because you are. We'll see you next week, gang. Thank you so much. Take care.